Hello everyone, Ziausen this side. So today hand we are starting with a topic called as generation and conduction of nerve impulse. Okay, so let's get started. So here, neurons are excitable cells because their membranes are in a polarized state. Correct? What does this polarized means? So basically, this means that the neuronal membranes are charged. Okay. Now, do remember one thing that the charge on the neurons, the resting membrane potential is always minus 70 millivolt. Is always minus 70 millivolt. Do remember the case. Now, here the different types of the ion channels are present on the neuronal membranes, and specifically they will be called as the sodium and the potassium pump. Okay, go through. They are selectively permeable to different ions. When a neuron is not conducting any impulse, that is called as a resting, the axonal membrane is comparatively more permeable to one ion as compared to the other one, or nearly impermeable to other one. So, if the neuron is in the rest, the neuronal membrane is permeable to the potassium and nearly impermeable to the sodium ions. Okay, deal with. So if somehow like this is my neuron, so internal membrane will be having potassium, whereas the external ECF extracellular fluid will be having sodium, and the ICF intracellular fluid will be having potassium. Okay, go through. Now the membrane is impermeable to the negatively charged proteins which are present in the exoplasm. Do remember the case that the cytoplasm of the axon is called as exoplasm, and it is impermeable to negatively charged proteins which are present in the exoplasm, which means the cytoplasm of the neuron. So here the exoplasm inside the axon contains high concentration of the potassium, whereas negatively charged proteins as well, and low concentration of sodium, which means the internal environment will become negative. Okay, why? Because of the presence of negatively charged protein. If you are preparing for a competitive exam, please do remember that this kind of questions they may ask. Now, in contrast, the fluid outside the axon contains a low concentration of potassium and a high concentration of sodium. So here we will be having the positive charge. Okay, go through. Now, and these ionic gradient across the resting membrane are maintained by the active transport of ion by the sodium potassium pump. Now, what does this active transport means? Which means that you need energy by means of ATP. Okay, by means of ATP. Now, this sodium potassium pump is transporting three sodium for 2 potassium. So I'll be writing in this fashion: 3 sodium for 2 potassium, and this will be done by expensing 1 ATP molecule. Okay, do remember this case. Now the electrical potential may difference across the resting membrane is called as the resting potential. The electrical potential difference between the membrane or across the membrane is called as resting potential. I've already told you that the resting membrane potential is called as minus 70 millivolt. Okay, do remember the case. Now maybe we are curious to know about the mechanism of the generation of the nerve impulse and its conduction along an axon. So when an stimulus is applied at a site, which means like in the diagram we'll be having the point A. When the stimulus is applied at point A, the membrane is at the site A becomes freely permeable to sodium. In the resting state, the membrane is almost impermeable to sodium, but whenever the stimulus is applied on the specific place, that let's say point A, that place becomes freely permeable to sodium, and this will be leading to the influx of sodium. Okay, and whenever the sodium ions are entering in the cytoplasm or the exoplasm, here what will happen? The potassium will leave the exoplasm for some time. Okay, so the outer surface of the membrane becomes negatively charged because the sodium has left that place. Okay, and the inner surface becomes positively charged because sodium has entered in the inner surface or the internal membrane, internal environment rather. Now, the polarity of the membrane at the site A is thus reversed, which means like in the beginning it was positive and now it is negative, and hence we will be calling it as a depolarized. We will be calling it as depolarized. Okay, go through. And the electrical potential difference across the plasma membrane at the site A is called as the action potential. It is the action potential, which in fact is termed as a nerve impulse. Okay, we will be calling it as nerve impulse now. So here at sites which are immediately ahead, the axon at the site B, the axon at the site B has a positive charge on the outer surface and the negative charge on inner surface. Correct? Okay, we'll be going through the diagram, then it will be much clear. Now as a result, the current will be flowing from the site A to the site B. On the outer surface, the current flows from site B to site A. How come? Let's check it in the diagram. So here I'll be writing a site A. So this is site A for me, correct? And this is the place where the impulse, where the stimulus has been applied. So basically the positive ions are entering here in the ICF, that is intracellular fluid, and ultimately like here we are observing that the minus charges are present. But where like the ions are not entering, here we are observing that there are positive charges are present, correct? Okay. So somehow again I'm reading the sentence. On the outer surface, the current is flowing from the side B to side A, somehow in this fashion, whereas the inner from side A to side B. Correct? Okay. Thus the polarity will be reversed. Now one more issue is there, that the potassium is also having the positive charge, correct? Then how come the intracellular fluid or the ICF is negative? Because of the negatively charged proteins. And one more case, that 3 sodium are entering by means of 2 potassium. 3 sodium are entering by means of 2 potassium, which means like the if somehow like if I'll be giving you an example, that let's say for example there are 12, there are 12 negatively charged proteins are present, correct? There are 12 negatively charged proteins are present and we have only 10 potassium there, correct? But if these 10 potassium are leaving, the ratio is 3s to 2, correct? So if this 2 is 10, here I will be having 15, correct? So 15 sodium will be entering, and that is the reason ICF will become positively charged for some extent. Now here the sequence is repeated along the length of the axon, and consecutively the impulse is conducted. The rise in the stimulus induced permeability to the sodium is extremely short lived, maybe a fraction of the second, a fraction of the second. Okay, now potassium has been diffused outward of the membrane, outside of the membrane, and restoring the resting potential of the membrane at the site of the excitation. So somehow for some extent sodium has been entered in the ICF and the potassium has been thrown out of the membrane. But whenever you are making it again normal, the potassium will come inside and sodium will go outside, and this will be restoring the resting membrane potential. This will be restoring the resting membrane potential. Okay, and the fiber becomes once more responsive to further stimulation, and that period is called as the period at which the fiber is not responsive is called as refractory period. The period at which the fiber is not responsive is called as refractory period. Do remember that the resting membrane potential is minus 70, where the threshold potential is minus 55 millivolt. Correct? Threshold, it is the place at which all or none law is followed. Even like if the potential has been reached minus 55, now it will be going for the proper conduction of the impulse, and if the fiber has been failed to reach up to minus 55, it will never transmit any impulse henceforth. Okay, and it will reach up to plus 45 millivolt, that will be like will be going through. Okay, plus 30 or plus 30 to plus 45 depending on the neurons speciality. Okay, deal with. Now we are dealing with the transmission of impulse. Now here a nerve impulse is transmitted from one neuron to the another neuron through the junction called as synapse. Through the junction called as synapse. So the junction between one to the other neuron is called as synapse. The synapse is formed by the membrane of presynaptic neuron and postsynaptic neuron. Okay, so the synapse is formed by the junction of presynaptic and the postsynaptic neuron, which may or may not be separated by a gap called as synaptic cleft. If it is not separated by synaptic cleft, it will be the electrical synapse, and if it does have a synaptic cleft, it will be called as a chemical synapse. Correct? So the first thing first, electrical synapse here. Here, the membranes of the pre and the post synaptic neurons are in very close proximity. They are like almost somehow like if I'm like I'm drawing a neuron here and the other dendrons are here. Correct? Here. So this is a dendron, cyton, axon. Correct? These are the dendron, cyton, and the axon of other neuron. So this portion proper. So if the they are situated in very close proximity, the post and the presynaptic neurons, that will be conducting electric current directly. The impulse is by means of flow of electric current. Correct? So here the electric current can flow directly from one neuron to the other through the synapse, and hence we are calling it as electrical synapse. And the transmission of an impulse across the electrical synapse is very similar to impulse conducting along a single axon. Correct? Okay. So the impulse transmission across the electric synapse is always faster than across the chemical synapse, but for some reasons electrical synapse are rare in our system. Okay, so we do have chemical synapse. Okay, so deal with chemical synapse now. So here the membrane of the pre and the post synaptic neurons are separated by a fluid filled space called a synaptic cleft. We'll be dealing with the diagram here. And one more case, that the presynaptic neuron transmits an impulse across the synaptic cleft to the postsynaptic neuron, which means they both are not in physical contact. So they will be using a third party connection that is called as synaptic cleft. Okay, go through. And the chemicals they'll be releasing, the presynaptic neuron will be releasing a chemical that is called as a neurotransmitter, which will be received by the postsynaptic neurons by means of receptors, and majority of the time this neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Okay, acetylcholine. Do remember one case, that neurotransmitters may be excitatory as well, and they may be inhibitory as well. Correct? They are involved in the transmission of the impulse at the synapse. The axon terminal contains vesicles which are responsible for the secretion. The vesicles are responsible for the secretion, which are filled with the neurotransmitters. Okay, and whenever the impulse is arriving at the axon terminal, which means the synaptic knob, it stimulates the movement of the synaptic vesicles towards the membrane, where they are fusing with the plasma membrane, or they are releasing their neurotransmitter in the synaptic cleft. In the plasma membrane, like in the electric, or in the synaptic cleft, which means in the chemical. So the released neurotransmitter are binding to the specific receptors which are present on the postsynaptic membrane. Okay, do remember the case. And this binding opens the ion channel, allowing the entry of the ions, which can generate a new potential in the postsynaptic neurons. Okay, they may be excitatory, they may be inhibitory as well. Do remember one case, like I do remember there are two negative or inhibitory neurotransmitter. They are called as GABA and the glycine. Okay, glycine is an amino acid. We all know that the most simplest amino acid is the glycine, but this GABA is called as a gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay, deal with these two are inhibitory neurotransmitters. Now here we are having axon. Correct, axon of the first. So axon here, like the axon terminal, which is the synaptic knob. Here we are having the synaptic vesicles. We have some secretions as well. These secretions are called as the neurotransmitters. And here we have the synaptic cleft. This is the synaptic cleft. Okay, the pit in which the fluid is present. So in the synaptic cleft, the first neuron, the perisynaptic neuron, is releasing its secretions or the neurotransmitters, and by means of swimming, these neurotransmitters are reaching at the receptors. These are the receptors. Okay, these are the receptors of the postsynaptic neuron. Okay, these are the receptors which are present on the dendrons of the postsynaptic neuron. Okay, go through. So now hopefully I'm done with the diagram as well. Hopefully this lecture has been beneficial for you guys. Thank you very much for your so much support. Thank you.